Jessica Harper and her seemingly perfect family were the picture of happiness on TikTok, but behind the viral smiles and cheerful videos lurked a dark secret. The mom adored by thousands wasn't just hiding small lies. She was hiding a deadly past, one that would lead to a shocking tragedy no one saw coming. From a history of theft to unthinkable violence, Jessica's double life would turn her dream life into a nightmare and leave a community asking the same chilling question: how well do we really know the people we trust? Jessica Harper seemed to have it all. Her TikTok account was full of vibrant, carefully edited videos that showcased her life as a perfect mother. She shared clips of her children smiling while they did arts and crafts, mornings spent making smoothies, and evenings of cozy family dinners. Followers admired her effortless charm, praising her for balancing motherhood, style, and social media fame with seeming ease. Brands noticed too, sending gifts and sponsorships that only added to her glamorous online image. In the world of social media, she appeared untouchable, a mom who had figured out the secret to happiness and success. Behind the camera, however, the story was very different. Jessica's home, which appeared orderly and welcoming in her videos, was often chaotic and tense. Neighbors noticed she could be short-tempered and easily frustrated. While she smiled for her followers, her interactions with those around her sometimes carried an edge of control or manipulation. Friends remarked that she could be both charming and cold, switching seamlessly between the two depending on who was watching. Her financial life was strained, but she meticulously hid the problems from her audience. Bills piled up, unpaid debts lurked in hidden corners, and her attempts to maintain appearances consumed much of her energy. Her obsession with curating a flawless image extended to every aspect of her life. Family outings were selected more for their visual appeal than for genuine enjoyment. Even casual moments were carefully framed, filmed, and edited for maximum impact. The pressure of this constant performance began to wear on her, and small cracks in her behavior began to show. Occasional mood swings, unexplained absences, and secretive phone calls hinted that everything was not as perfect as it seemed. Despite these signs, few suspected how dark her life truly was. On the surface, Jessica Harper embodied the social media dream, a beloved mother with followers who admired her every move. Yet, underneath the polished videos and smiling selfies, a troubling pattern was quietly developing. She had a history of deception, a willingness to manipulate circumstances to her advantage, and a growing capacity for risk-taking that no one could fully grasp. The contrast between her online persona and her real life created a tension that would eventually explode into tragedy. The cheerful TikTok mom adored by thousands was living a double life, one that would ultimately lead to a horrifying revelation that stunned her followers and her community alike. Years before the shocking tragedy, Jessica Harper had a secret that few people knew about. Long before she became a social media sensation, she had a history of theft. In her early 20s, she had been caught shoplifting from high-end stores, taking clothes, accessories, and even electronics without paying. The incidents were handled quietly, with minimal legal consequences, and most people outside her immediate circle were unaware. Friends and family remembered her as a charming and persuasive person, someone who could talk her way out of trouble and make others believe she was trustworthy. This past revealed a troubling pattern. Psychologists later noted that people who engage in repeated theft often experience a thrill from the act itself, a mix of excitement and risk-taking that can escalate over time. For Jessica, this behavior was more than just youthful mistakes. It was a glimpse into her ability to manipulate situations to her benefit, to hide her actions behind a carefully crafted facade. Those early incidents of theft hinted at a growing tendency to disregard rules and boundaries, to prioritize her desires over the safety and well-being of others. Even after she became a mother, traces of this pattern lingered. Small things went missing at family gatherings or parties she attended, often explained away as accidents or forgetfulness. Friends sometimes noticed her borrowing items and never returning them, or spending money she didn't have. People who knew her closely began to sense a disconnect between the person she presented publicly and the person she was in private. Her charm and charisma allowed her to maintain friendships and keep suspicion at bay, but underneath, there was a calculated and secretive side that few could see. Experts would later point out that Jessica's history of theft was more than an isolated problem. It was part of a larger personality profile that included manipulation, thrill-seeking, and a strong desire for control. These traits, combined with her social media fame, created a dangerous mix. The online world gave her a platform to maintain a perfect image, even as cracks in her personal life widened. The contrast between her public persona and her private actions made it increasingly difficult for those around her to understand what she was capable of. Looking back, the signs were there. Her past thefts, her secretive nature, and her growing need to control appearances all pointed to someone who could take extreme measures to protect the life she had carefully constructed. What started as small acts of deception quietly set the stage for a far more shocking and devastating reality, one that would soon leave an entire community questioning everything they thought they knew about Jessica Harper. As time went on, Jessica Harper's behavior became increasingly unpredictable, and those closest to her began to notice unsettling patterns. She spent long hours alone in her home, often locking herself in rooms for extended periods. Neighbors occasionally saw her leaving with bags or boxes that she never explained, and she became secretive about the reasons for her absences. Her children were sometimes left in the care of friends or relatives under vague excuses, creating an uneasy sense that something was not quite right behind the closed doors of her seemingly perfect house. Her financial situation, carefully hidden from public view, began to show signs of strain. Credit card statements revealed charges she could not justify, while bills went unpaid. Despite the wealth she flaunted on social media, she became increasingly defensive when asked about money, often changing the subject or offering rehearsed explanations that failed to satisfy those around her. Friends started noticing inconsistencies between her online persona and her real-life behavior. Her videos portrayed calm, joyful family life, yet in reality, tension and secrecy filled her days. Small incidents began to stack up, forming a troubling pattern. Items went missing during family gatherings or parties she attended, and she frequently borrowed money or valuables under seemingly innocent pretenses. Occasionally, neighbors or acquaintances reported minor incidents, such as packages disappearing from doorsteps or personal items vanishing from local shops. While none of these acts alone would have seemed dangerous, combined with her secretive demeanor and growing volatility, they hinted at a deeper problem. Psychologists later analyzed Jessica's behavior during this period and noted that her thrill-seeking tendencies were intensifying. The early signs of deception and manipulation, once limited to theft, now appeared to extend to her family and community. She carefully curated every aspect of her online life, presenting herself as the devoted mother and model citizen, while privately managing a web of secrets and lies. Her social media followers had no idea that beneath the cheerful videos, a darker reality was unfolding. By the time authorities began piecing together events leading to the tragedy, it was clear that the cracks in Jessica Harper's mask were growing. The tension between the public image she projected and the private actions she took created a volatile environment. Those around her sensed something was wrong, but they could not have imagined the scale of what was to come. The seemingly ordinary TikTok mom, adored by thousands, was slowly spiraling into a world of control, secrecy, and ultimately, unthinkable violence. Each small, suspicious action became a thread that, when pulled, would unravel the horrifying truth. The trial of Jessica Harper gripped the nation, drawing intense media attention and the morbid fascination of her social media followers. As court proceedings unfolded, shocking details of her life emerged, painting a picture far different from the cheerful TikTok videos she had shared with the world. Investigators revealed that her online presence was not just a hobby or a way to connect with fans. It was a carefully constructed mask, designed to hide years of manipulation, deceit, and escalating criminal behavior. Every video, every post, and every smile had been part of a performance intended to maintain the illusion of perfection while concealing the darker impulses that ultimately led to her family's murder. Evidence presented in court highlighted the chilling precision with which she had planned the crime. Forensic reports and financial records suggested that her past thefts and manipulative tendencies had escalated over time, culminating in a carefully orchestrated plan. Experts testified that her history of theft was not an isolated behavior, but part of a broader pattern of thrill-seeking and risk-taking. Psychologists explained that individuals with her profile often develop an increasing need for control and power, and when that need is unmet, it can result in extreme actions. In Jessica's case, the same cunning she had used to deceive friends, family, and store clerks had evolved into a deadly capacity for violence. The court also explored how her social media fame had both enabled and masked her actions. Followers had been blind to the warning signs, seduced by her carefully curated content. Experts noted that the combination of online adoration and real-world secrecy created a dangerous feedback loop. Her identity as a beloved influencer allowed her to manipulate perceptions, giving her confidence and cover to act without immediate suspicion. People who had once admired her were left questioning everything they thought they knew about the woman behind the videos. As the trial concluded, the jury reached a verdict that reflected the gravity of her crimes. Jessica Harper was convicted, but the story did not end there. The case left lasting questions about trust, appearances, and the hidden dangers behind seemingly perfect lives. Her social media followers mourned and reevaluated the nature of online personas, realizing that curated content can hide devastating realities. In the end, Jessica Harper's story became a chilling reminder that appearances can be deadly. A life spent building an online image of happiness and perfection masked deep flaws and dangerous tendencies, culminating in an irreversible tragedy. The TikTok mom who had captivated thousands had, in the most horrifying way, shown the world that no amount of charm or influence can hide the darkness that may lurk beneath a smiling face. Her legacy served as a warning. Even the most flawless lives, carefully documented online, may conceal secrets too dangerous to imagine.